Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome back to another episode of Always Almost There, Day After Show Live. We're back for the first episode of a new tour. Very exciting things happening in the Goose world, of course. Before we get started, we would be remiss if we didn't, comment on. We just found out 10 minutes before going live here or so that Phil Lesh, bassist of the Grateful Dead, just passed. Really, really sad. I obviously, aside from Goose covering the Grateful Dead, which obviously they do fairly frequently, I think both of us have been very impacted over the course of our lives by the music of the Grateful Dead. So this is a very sad occasion. Neil, anything you want to say on this?
We're looks like we're losing you. But yeah, man, this is a pretty astonishing news. So like if you're just tuning in now, I think within the last 10 or 15 minutes, Phil Lesh's social media accounts had announced that he passed away this morning. So I think a lot of us are like surprised right now. I'm really, really shocked, really, really saddened by it. Been a huge Grateful Dead fan like my whole entire life. So this is, it's a shock. So, it's hard to do a podcast about a jam band show without thinking about Phil. He is one of the instrumental figures in jam music. So this is, kind of a somber occasion.
100%. Well, aside from that, I'm going to make an attempt to switch my phone for a better internet connection here. So apologies if you can't hear what I'm saying right now. But in the meantime, we're going to bring on our guests for today. We've got John Murphy and Tom, aka Fish Plays Weapon Post, both veteran guests of the pod, returning. Good to have you both on. How's everybody doing?
Doing good. Glad to be here. I had not heard that news. A little distracted trying to kind of catch up on what you guys just shared.
Oh, I'm sorry that we were the ones to tell you as you were coming on the pod.
Yeah, it's all good. That said, having flashbacks to being at summer camp at a record store when they announced over the air that Jerry had passed away, and both my counselors, who were kind of my rock that summer, breaking down crying. I'm sure there's others kind of going through that same thing now, but kind of a crazy moment. But let's we're here to talk about Goose.
All right, cool. Well, why don't we dive into the music while Ryan figures out what's going on with his situation. Actually, Ryan looks way better now.
All right, there we go.
Oh, we can actually hear you too, like in full HD audio. Ryan Storm.
Lovely. Yeah, I switched to my phone. Should be able to hear me now.
So yeah, good. It's a lot better.
Awesome.
So let's talk about the show or what?
Yeah, let's dive into last night's Goose show here. Why don't we? Let's start with you, Murph. You had a pretty good spot last night. So take us through your pre-show vibe, getting into the venue, what the venue was like, of course, and how you were feeling before the music started.
Okay. So yesterday was really odd, kind of a first time experiencing that easy of a walk-in for a show, especially to be able to get rail. So last night was my first Rail Goose show. First time at a Send Amphitheater. Great spot. Really loved it. It's small enough that it's small, but also big enough where you can fit a good amount of people in there. Location was cool. Really enjoyed the venue all around. But like, I showed up, I don't know, probably an hour and a half before doors open, expecting there to be a line. There was like 6 people there. So like I there was no rush. I literally could have waited until like probably 6:30 or so and still got a really good spot. But walked in, pretty much walked straight up to the rail, and then had time to go get merch and come back, and it was really chill. Really good experience last night. Great crowd down there in the pit. Everybody was super chill, super nice. Just all around good vibes.
Amazing. Love to hear it. Tom, what about you?
Yeah, I also had an exceptionally easy experience. Was visiting a friend that was like a 6-minute Uber drive away. So we left his place at like 7:15, and we're in our pavilion seats within like 12 minutes. It was. I don't think I've ever had an experience like that. It was almost like shocking when they came on. I wasn't ready for it yet. I hadn't like maybe gotten in the mood. But yeah, I agreed. Great vibe. The pavilion was really fun. People were bouncing around a lot, which I hadn't really seen very much. People didn't seem to care about seat number. People just wanted to kind of move around and dance in different spots. And that was definitely led to like a really awesome communal vibe.
Love it. Love to hear it. Amazing. Well, I was excited last night, just tour getting back on the road, more Goose. So super, super excited that we had a stream. After 3 whole weeks,
it
with
didn't
new
feel like 3
Goose.
weeks. It didn't feel like 3 weeks. And maybe
It felt like a long time.
Like 3 weeks in between episodes of the day after show.
Right.
It actually felt like a really long time since Goose music. And then maybe not so long since we did our last day after show. I don't know how that works in like the whole, metaphysical realm, but like that, I think that's what went down.
Yeah. But we're back. We're refreshed. We're ready to do like 15 or whatever.
Let's
in the
do
next
another 15.
couple of weeks.
Why not? Yeah.
Why not? Yeah, talk to us in 3 weeks and see how burnt out we are. Anyway, let's dive into the music here because this is a really interesting show to talk about. So we'll start with this opening sandwich, if you will. It's been done before in Cleveland, I believe it was in June. But Echo, Green River Echo. Tom, take us through this. What did you think?
Yeah, excited to hear those opening notes of Echo. There's definitely like a loud sing along going on, and then the kind of part of the venue I was that was really fun. I came to the show jam chasing a little bit. I think that's how I see most shows. But I don't think I had my expectations too high here at the very beginning of an Echo. I was like, first show of tour, this is probably gonna be a sandwich. That's kind of what my first thought was. So I didn't let expectations ruin this for me. It was fun. Green River was like a loud sing along too. It was a pretty smooth segue into it. Kind of fun bouncing and right back into Echo. I think it got it off. It got it off strong and set the table for what it was going to be, which was kind of a songy first set.
Sure. Yeah. Murph?
So yeah, I agree. Like, Echo sandwich. If you follow me on Twitter, you know that I'm not a super big fan of Echo sandwiches, but last night was okay. I got Green River the last time they played it in Iowa, so Green River is always welcome. It's a cover that they do really well, and I think like just last night in general was a really good show for everybody because like you were jam chasing. There were some good jams last night, but there were also a lot of really well done covers. Then Green River just started it off perfectly. Going back into Echo, I noticed that I think it was a delay, but Peter got on the OB6 and was doing like these weird little spacey delay like swells going back into Echo, which was really cool. But other than that, the Echo was pretty standard to me. Just
I thought
Echo
that was actually Peter on guitar still as they were going back into it, left over from the Green River. Like he took his time switching back to keys, which that's a good thing to point out. I really, really liked that he did that. Thought it was really cool.
Cool.
Neil, you got any thoughts on this sandwich here other than strap in?
This is like a real strap-in kind of sandwich, It's what's interesting though is that if you look at all the songs that were due to be played at this show, which I know this is like the start of the tour, and some people say it's a full reset. You can't really think about like what's on deck, and you think about what Goose should have played or would normally have played. There's more than a half dozen, maybe even more than 10 songs that I would have thought would have come in the first 3 or 4 slots of the show that did not get played. Like The Whales, due to be played. Atlas Dogs, super due to be played. What else? Flowdown. Like how did they not play Flowdown in the show? And so to that end, an Echo Green River sandwich to open the show is pretty refreshing, not expected, and was like actually pretty neat. I am one of the people who doesn't really dislike Green River. I don't know. It's also, I'm going to bring it up every time they play it now. This is my most common not seen is Green River.
Really?
So eventually I'm going to have to see it. Yeah. And, I was saying this last night. I was surprised they chose Green River. It's like a weird one to play right out the gate, but hey, they played it. So, going back to the original point, interesting choice. And I like it. Because it's very atypical. We say it all the time, like a 2-pack openers, 3-pack, a 4-pack. I was expecting like a 6-pack of openers here.
Yeah,
we got like this, and that's better than that, I think.
Well,
so
my picks last night reflected an expectation of a 6-pack of openers. Like I had Atlas Dogs, Flowdown, Mr. Action, Whales, and
in a classic bad beat Ryan Storm fashion. you got your Mr. Action on the river. We'll talk about
we'll talk about that later. But yeah,
Exactly.
yep.
Yep.
I laughed about that because I knew you'd love it.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about our next segue segment here of the set. Draconian Meter Maid into Maskanata. The number of full arrows in this set is kind of absurd. But let's start with you this time, Tom. I don't remember who we started with on the last one, but we'll throw it to you now, Tom, for Draconian Meter Maid Maskanata.
All right, I think I'm getting 2 in a row. I'll jump on it. I had not been staying on top of the new songs. That's what this is, right? Is Draconian Meter Maid a new song?
Yeah, new beginning of September. It's a tune from Cotter's old band, Swimmer.
Got it. Okay. Yeah, it was fun to hear him sing. I really like this one. I had not heard it before. I had seen the name in a set list. I never searched it out. This kind of caught me off guard. I was really kind of into it. I'm excited to go back and chase down some other versions. Definitely some kind of really creative segments. It doesn't sound like another Goose song I could think of. So that one was really fun. It had some kind of high energy kind of shredded in it too. So I did enjoy that. The drop into Maskanata was definitely a big surprise for me. A lot of people were kind of screaming happy there. That one was fun to dance to. I think this was probably, this was the moment when I started sweating a little bit and started moving. So I enjoyed the segment.
Nice. Murph, what about you?
Okay, so Draconian Meter Maid was really fun for me. I noticed that Rick was he was dancing around on a lot of things. He was having a lot of fun. Peter got into this dark, funky clav section that I really liked. They went into a bliss jam where, I don't know if it was a tease or a CCP, but Peter started doing the Chariots of Fire.
Oh, that was a tease. So it's very blatant.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I just don't want to ruffle feathers on that. But and then after that, Rick went into some heavy sustaining stuff, which I really love. I love it when he can hold a singular note out for an extended period of time. And then after that, we hear the first really obvious modulation push from Rich for the night, and that's where for me at least, I was like, okay, he's actually enjoying this. We're about to have a really good night. Super smooth transition into Maskanata. We got some shreddy Rick. I think that was a really good version of it. I don't think I'd seen it live prior to last night. I'm not sure on that one, but either way, very welcomed, and I really enjoyed that entire section of the first set.
Yeah, interesting to note, this is the 4th Maskanata of the year. The last time it was played more than 3 times in 1 year was 2019. So this is also an incredibly short gap for this song. The last time it appeared was in San Diego, and then before that, it was 15 shows and then 23 shows before that, and then 21 shows before that. It's been on some longer gaps the last couple of years, but so interesting to see how heavily it's been in rotation this year. But I would say, are there covers that I would rather them play 4 times other than Maskanata? Yes. But yeah, I don't know. I've never been super high on this song. I know a lot of people love it.
Shut your mouth.
I know. A lot of people love it. I've never been super high on it. I just feel like I think there were some times when it's been played where I just really haven't liked the placement, and that's maybe soured it a bit for me. But here it was interesting because this, and we'll talk about the next segue as well, I thought was kind of kneecapping a very promising jam. As Rick has done a few times, earlier this fall. But I think this was like a gimmicky kind of set from them. I saw the written set list. The Draconian Maskanata didn't seem like they planned on doing a quick segue there, but Green River and the All I Need Flea thing were both planned to be sandwiches on the written set list.
Man, I'm really disappointed in your opinions about Maskanata. It's one of my favorite Goose covers. It really is. It's spectacular. I think it adds a spice to a show. I mean, you got about a 10-minute version, so there's a little bit of a jam in this one. There always is when they play it. So that part's exciting. Draconian Meter Maid was really good too. I mean, you got some nice.
Yeah, love the Chariots of Fire. That was just one of those things where I'm sure Peter heard that earlier in the day. and was just like, I'm gonna throw this in a jam later, and because it was like it sometimes a tease, like later in the show, it like comes out of the theme of the jam that they're on. This was just like Draconian Meter Maid started, and Peter just started playing Chariots of Fire.
Yeah,
like there's no foreshadowing or anything.
And when he walks away from the tease, there's like a nice little groove based on the tease that he stays in for a while on the piano, and that's actually my favorite part of this jam, where it's like I think it's just like a 2-chord groove that he's got going right after the tease, and like really like the way that came out. It's so interesting that the jams that are coming out of this song, because they sound nothing like the song itself, but this is emblematic of the kind of thing that you get where you get like a hard turn from, you know, whatever Draconian Meter Maid is into like this kind of really nice blissy jam. Yeah. And it goes, you know, a couple different places too, which is cool. That's cool stuff.
Chariots of Fire, also to note, FTT. First time teased.
Oh, we're coming up with that acronym here. Okay.
Oh yeah. I know how much Neil loves when I come up with stuff like that.
Oh yeah, let's bring it up. You know, interesting thing about this set actually. So Draconian Meter Maid is now kind of like the new first set jammer.
Yeah.
Right. And like comes in that spot like second or third song where like you expect to get a little jam. Previously held by the other 2 songs played in this, or 2 other songs played in this set, All I Need and Time to Flee. They both kind of have that role in sets. So that's interesting though. They played all of them. Yeah. And only really jammed one of them. So
there we go. All right. Next up, our next little block of songs here. We've got Time to Flee, All I Need, Caution, back into Time to Flee. Murph, take it away.
Okay, so Flee was really cool. You know, they started with this like really patient like building to the jam, and Rick did some nice like I call it like high soloing, but what I mean by that is like it was just like a really like soaring, like almost push to break up tone where it's just like very high energy, very it makes you feel good, you know. I really loved that. Going into All I Need, so right there I thought that was gonna like in the moment I thought it was another modulation push, but honestly I'm just thinking that was Rick signaling to, hey, let's go into All I Need. You know, undecided version, that was cool, and his tone in that was awesome again, you know. And then they went into a really quiet like dynamic jam segment for a minute, smoothly transitioned right into Caution. This is another great cover that I think they do really well. I love Caution. I think Rick vocally hits it perfectly, and there's just, you know, that reggae bop to it that you can't help but move to. Really love that. They went into this like, or Rick started doing this like bluesy kind of funky like re-entry back into like Flea, and I really liked that too, just from a guitar perspective, because I kind of started out in like blues stuff. And then I noticed this from Trevor, and it wasn't a tease or a CCP or anything, but he started this little groove that was so close to Boogie on Reggae Woman, and I wanted it to be so freaking bad, but it wasn't. And it's like he was dangling a carrot the whole time, and I'm like,
Neil was 100% certain. Neil was certain they were going into it. I told him he was wrong. He laughed at me, and then he got mad when they didn't go into it.
Yes.
I mean I feel like that's valid though. It was so close.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. If somebody dangles something like that in front of you and it's just like psych at the end, like that's me. That's the only way to look at it.
Trevor's a bully.
Happy about that. And yes, someone, I'll relay the message. I'll send him a sternly worded letter. Don't do that again, because that's just me.
Don't you dare.
That would have been sick. That would have been absolutely sick. There's something about Nashville that we just love these kind of Stevie Ray or Stevie Wonder covers, because when they played Redbird at the Ryman last year, it was
Stop Dragging My Heart Around. You haven't done nothing. Yeah.
Totally, you haven't done nothing.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking of.
Yeah.
Tom, your thoughts on Flea, Need, Caution, Flea?
Yeah, Flea was my most commonly played not seen somehow still, so I was excited to kind of get that. That's the song in the Goose catalog that my kids like, so we still play it around the house a ton. So it was fun to get them video I could send along to show them that, you know, I was doing something fun that they could scream along to as well. the Flea Jam, I guess we can call that a micro jam. That was fun though. That kind of built to something and had me moving. It was pretty. I think I had the reaction that Ryan described with Mas Kanata with Caution. I was really excited to get All I Need started, kind of settling into something. I was ready for a big jam. I was mad when they dropped into Caution, and I think that I didn't enjoy it. I don't like the song, but I get what you're saying, Ryan. Now I'm going to be mad the next time they play it because I'm going to have a memory of of it killing that All I Need jam.
Sometimes you get PTSD about song placements, just the way it goes.
I totally missed that Boogie On thing. I'm excited to go back and listen to it. I did really like the drop back into finishing Flea and just for completeness sake, but also I love that segment. And so I think I did a bathroom break during Caution and kind of right back to see right as they dropped back into Flea, and that was definitely a fun moment. I enjoyed it.
I thought those segues from Flea into Need and Caution into Flea were both amazing. I think the Flea into Need was definitely they rehearsed that one backstage, but I don't think based on the written set list, I don't think they were anticipating incorporating Caution into the sandwich until they, decided they were going to in the moment. And I love the way they went back in. And shout out to Cotter for holding the reggae beat when they went back into Flea. That was like the coolest thing. I freaked out when he did that. The rest of the band hit into the normal cadence of the Flea ending, but Cotter was still playing that like reggae shuffle, and Peter gave him like a hell yeah man look during that ending part, which I thought was awesome. I'm glad I remembered to mention that on the pod because that might have been my highlight of the first set.
I mean, you get some good segues with the Caution, man. I'm thinking back to the Liz Caution Liz. What was that? Last year?
That was at the Riv.
Yeah, something about Caution. You get the good segues. Not my favorite cover of theirs. It's not.
No, but it's good.
It used to be ultra rare, but now less ultra rare. But yeah, pretty cool segues there.
Well, this is only the second one of the year. I think it got a few plays last year, but it was not played by Cotter until Boston.
Right.
Anybody?
It's just like a little bit biased because I just saw them play this cover.
Right. Yeah. All right. Before we head into set break, any thoughts on SOS other than it's a really sick set closer?
Good placement. That's it. Good placement. Yeah. That's what I had in my notes.
It was welcomed.
There we go. I personally now, looking at what would come later, I would swap SOS with what opened the second set. But that's just my personal preference. All right, set break. Murph, you go first. How are you feeling? What were you expecting?
Honestly, set break was really chill, just kind of hung out, got to know some of the fellow people around, and I think I took a bathroom break. Don't really remember. Either way, if that was when I took my bathroom break, then it was really quick and super easy. So again, shout out to the venue for being a dope venue. But yeah, just kind of hung out, talked. I didn't really have any expectations for the second set because, I was kind of like Neil with like, I didn't play fantasy, but I was thinking about doing fantasy yesterday, and like all of my picks were going to be, your standard openers. So like after we did not have like an Atlas, I was really thinking it was going to be Atlas Dogs opening, but after that was kind of out the window. I was like, I don't really know what to think for the rest of the show, so I'm just here. I'm having fun.
Yeah. No, I was looking at my picks as well at set break, and I was like, hey, I got All I Need for 4, I got Echo for 2, and the rest of my songs are first set songs. I'm not getting any more points. Right. So, glad that the write-off was not necessary. Tom, you still with us?
Yes, I'm still here.
Okay, awesome. No, just couldn't see your video. So wanted to make sure you were still there. Take us through how you were feeling at set break. Oh, sorry, Murph, were you still going?
I was just going to say, if my video cuts out at all, I'm just checking my notes. I think it cuts out whenever I do that.
Perfect. Tom, your thoughts at set break, kind of your expectations for set 2. What were you feeling?
Yeah. Drop back into the kind of easy venue thing. Like, it was super easy to get a beer and go to the bathroom. Plenty of time to kind of talk to people around us during set break. The weather was really nice. I had not been to that venue yet. Part of the reason I wanted to travel down to see the show was because I've heard people rave about Ascend, and I wanted an excuse to go see it. And it lived up to it, especially with, a 60-degree night. It was really perfect out there. So yeah, fun to just kind of sit around and converse. I think, I mean, my expectations for the second set, or, you know, I've said this before, I just wanted something big and surprising, and I really wanted to hear Rick, you know, shred. And to quote Mike,
Well, he did.
Too many notes. I wanted to hear him play too many notes.
Yeah.
All at once,
I
very
love
fast
that.
and frenetically.
I
Love
love
it.
that.
Love it. Well, yeah, let's head into set 2 here. We'll just do So Ready and Mist together because I don't know if there's a ton that needs to be said about the So Ready other than sauce. Rick loves the sauce on So Ready.
Sauce.
This Mist is phenomenal. I think we can pretty confidently say that this is the second best Mist of all time. I think, you know,
Can we
that's
say that?
pretty
I don't
accurate.
think we can say that. I don't
Why not?
think that's accurate. Second best of all time? Just snap judgments like this?
What is better than this besides the cap?
That's difficult to answer that question because going backwards, thinking about this song, right? There's all the things that came before 2024, right? And then there's 2024 versions.
Yeah.
And, you know, there's the cap, which obviously is hands down the best. I don't know. Maybe there's a version out there from 2019.
Well, speaking of good Mists from 2019, Neil, today is the 5-year anniversary of 10/25/19. And if you have not heard that show, you should go listen to it.
That show? Yeah, right.
River Street Jazz Cafe,
which is
one of the best All I Needs ever, one of the best Mists.
That's a big one.
Really good
remember-
Western Sun, I think.
When I started listening to this band, I was like, you know, where are all the great jams? You know, where do you go for like the best jams?
And Jive
like-
Goose swooped in with this
everybody's just like,
recommendation.
Yeah, River Street, like that's the one that you
Yeah.
got to listen to. And so yeah, go listen to that show.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Shout out Jive Goose, who will die for this show.
But can we talk about expectations for the set? I want to
Yes.
say a couple
Yeah,
things.
yeah.
I
Sorry.
want to talk
Yeah,
about
go
the
ahead.
venue one, and I want to talk about expectations for the set. I've always wanted to go to this venue. I think in 2019, Fish played there, and I went
18.
hard. It was
And
2018.
21.
I tried hard to get tickets, like super hard. Did not get tickets. It did not end up going. So I have yet to go to this venue, and I really wanted to this time, but definitely not happening with the day of the week that it was on. Someday I will make it out to this place because it looks absolutely sick. And also, like, my impression was it was not super well sold. Is that true, guys, who were at the venue? Or
No, so last night, like I said, it was super easy getting in. And I think part of that was because a lot of it was like the pit was very small. So there wasn't a need to rush. If you got pit, you got pit. The PAV section was very, very very big. So it was seated. There were a lot of seats already guaranteed. And then they had a really good sized lawn. So I think people were just taking their time because up until I would say 7 o'clock, me and a few of the other guys in the pit were like, did this show even sell? Like, how did this show sell? I know they still had tickets at the door, so it didn't sell out, but I think it sold pretty well. Like, people just took their time getting there.
right on. So it just sounds like it was spacious, which is like this is a golden age. This is something to be excited about. When you're going to sheds, they're not super sold out. You've got space. You can go like get a beer and like you can really enjoy a place like this, which I think it's worth it. You know, and this is on the smaller side for sheds too. So you have a little bit of room
like
to move.
6K or something like that.
Yeah, something like that. But okay, so just wanted to say that one piece. Like, I love this venue, and you guys are super lucky that you got to go see them at this venue. And then expectations for the second set. Yeah, So Ready opener, and then this Into the Mist, which is gigantic and wonderful and has all kinds of amazing things going on in it, including, you know, we're just going to beat this When the Saints Go Marching thing to death. Now
It's a dead horse at this point, but they're beating it.
Yeah, now that I've said that I didn't believe that's what it was, they're just going to keep doing it.
I love it.
No, I was expecting, if I was a betting man, I would say they're playing a gigantic Wisteria Lane in this set, not a gigantic Into the Mist. So I just thought that was coming. But
Well, from my perspective, I think, you know, sorry, we'll throw it to you guys in a second, but from my perspective, in terms of whether the band looks at previous set lists in a city, I think, you know, if we use the Salt Shed as an example, there are certain songs that like, they'll be like, oh, last time we were in Chicago, we played a huge Hunger Site. So we're not going to play Hunger Site, even though it's 3 nights and theoretically every song is on the table. So I think here they kind of looked at the Ryman and they were like, you know, we played a massive Wisteria last time we were in Nashville, so we're not going to play one here. So I don't think
everything at the Ryman.
Right, but I'm saying, but they didn't play anything last night that was a huge jam at the Ryman. That was my point.
Yeah.
You know, so I think that's something that they are a little more, cognizant of. Like, also, again, no pancakes in Chicago.
Yeah.
If you think about it, like, so I think there are certain songs that they'll look at, if they've played too many shows recently that, like, excluding, like, obviously excluding everything from the Ryman was not an option. But yeah, like No Wisteria, they're not going to play Arrow. They're not going to play, was it like Monavon, right? Like,
Right.
Rockdale.
so that's my, yeah, exactly. So that's my thought on that. But let's dive in here. Start with you, Tom.
You too, if you're paying attention at home and you want to be a third place on the season fantasy Goose player, Ryan is revealing all of his secrets right now. Sorry to interrupt, but I just wanted to point that out.
Some of them.
If you want to be a bronze
all
medalist,
my secrets.
Listen to Ryan's secrets. Yeah.
Sorry, I'm like 15 points ahead of you right now, Neil. So don't talk, okay? By the way, everybody, Neil got his first egg
Yeah, I got
in
0
over
points.
3 years last night.
0 points.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's throw it to you, Tom. Let's talk about this mist.
Yeah. So one real quick thing on the video that I forgot to mention: the video work was like I've never seen before on the screens. There was like 4 or 5 cameras going on, and they were kind of moving around behind the stage and giving these views I'm not used to, like in concert. So yeah, and I was with some people that see shows at Ascend a lot. And they say that's not how it normally is. Like Goose brought a higher quality video production to the floor,
Nice.
and then that allowed them to do more with those screens than they're used to seeing.
And we had some
Yes, they
weird visual effects on the stream last night.
Yeah, I was gonna
especially on
mention
the Rick camera.
that. Yeah.
We had
Very,
those
very
in the
like
video, too.
late era Grateful Dead broadcasts kind of thing.
Nice.
For Phil.
Yep.
Somebody
Anyway,
was just, like,
Tom-
turning knobs. Like, what does this one do? And like, yeah.
Look, what do you mean? Coach is back there, just like.
Woo, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Or maybe it's Marta or Fernando. Who knows? Anyway, Tom, this mist.
Yeah, so let's talk about this miss. So I'll be honest that I had I walked away from the first half of that jam disappointed last night, and upon re-listening today, I think I'm an idiot and I love it, and I immediately put it on my playlist. So like the in-concert experience was very different for me than the headphones experience the next day. And what I mean by that is that major key kind of Bliss section was freaking awesome, just perfect, and that's the stuff I love. And I really thought that we were going to get some sort of long, epic, frenetic peak to that, and it felt like it was building toward it. And for some reason that I don't understand, my reaction in the moment is that like Rick lost confidence and just fell into something he knows, which is the when the Saints go marching in tease, or maybe it was purposeful, but I felt like it was a slight to me. Neil, when you were talking about them not dropping into Boogie On, I felt that way when I didn't get the frenetic peak at that moment, and I said got when the Saints go marching in, and it made me angry, which is irrational, and it affected my ability to absorb that jam. But after going back and listening to it this morning, yeah, that there's multiple segments there that are super listenable and really fun and gorgeous and funky, and yeah, that it's a monster.
Awesome. Yeah, I think that's one of those things where I was getting frustrated in the first half of the year when like they would do the almost when the Saints go marching in and not play it. So Rick, thank you for, if you're going to do this, thank you for the last 2 times, like actually teasing the melody. But I said before, it's like beating a dead horse. I feel like at this point, the novelty of, Mist being a jam vehicle that we had, in April and June, it's kind of worn off, and it's like, okay, we're getting the Bliss jam again. Okay, we're getting the When the Saints Go Marching In jam, in the mist again. But I love the back half of this jam so much. This is awesome. I loved it last night. I've listened to it like 4 times today already. It's just this like grooving organ funk, which is great. We talked about talking about the Eugene Pancakes, about Peter playing organ in a different style, a little more aggressive, a little funkier. So, just very minimalist groove here though. And just like these like very staccato hits from Peter on the organ. Absolutely loved it. And then it's just like a dance jam. This could be like a 2023 jam, just in terms of just the very consistent dance beat from the drums, and just the drop into the peak.
That drop
towards
so
the end there.
Oh my god!
So
it's like one of my
good.
favorite like ever.
I like
That's
lost my
like one
shit
note.
last night. I like
Yeah.
jumped off the couch. I was like, yeah.
Yeah, I was
Anyway,
doing that in the car this morning on the way to work, and like punching the
punching the roof. Yeah, that like gif
Yeah.
from the Big Lebowski.
Yeah, like literally doing it. Yep.
Murph, now I'm just realizing that I got excited and I skipped you, and I'm sorry about that. But talk to us about this mist.
Okay, so I have a bit to unpack here. So first, I want to say a couple things about So Ready. It was very standard, and I loved the digital sauce thing. But something that I kind of harp on online a lot is the offbeat clapping. Oh my gosh, clap in
I
time,
can't.
please.
I can't do it.
Please clap in time.
I hate
Okay.
people so much.
But okay, that's all I had to say about that. Anyways, so Mist, it had the super solid like slow build. As far as like the bliss jamming goes, I would say that it's more like borderline bliss than like full on bliss. But still, it was getting me there. When the Saint goes marching in, great. I love it. I get super hyped for that. Um, Rick had this really cool like tone at that point where it was like, and I don't know if he still has his Big Sky on his board or not, but it's either the Big
I
Sky
think
or
we're
the
losing him.
combination of.
Well, as is
My
tradition
bad.
on this pod,
Am I good?
no internet issues until he was talking.
Am I good now? Am I back?
Yeah, I think you're back.
Okay. Sorry about that.
All good.
What I was saying was like I don't know if Rick still has his Big Sky on his board or not, but he had this really cool like reverby tone, very ambient and spacious. And then he got down, and at first I thought he was playing with his Night Sky, but now that I've listened back to it, I think it was his his timeline, because he did this like cool little reverse delay loop and just had that going, and then he built like something funky around it, and he gets on his wah pedal and he gauges his wah, and like he teeters it back and forth for a little bit, and then he just like he leaves it engaged and leaves the cue in one spot, which is a really cool tonal choice.
Krungbin move.
Right, very much so. And I thought that was insanely interesting. That's another reason why I really enjoyed being on the rail last night, because I could notice him doing things like that. And that's the type of stuff that I eat up. Like, I absolutely love it. You guys talked about the drums. I totally agree. It was a very danceable drum groove. And then, like, in that drop, whenever they're taking the jam home, Connor busts into this like disco, just boom, 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 and like, gosh, man, I love that.
The drop is just not like, that's not fair. Like, it's just so good.
So good.
It was amazing. Yep. Absolutely loved it.
Yeah,
and everybody was in on it too. Like, that's the thing. Is like,
it was.
I mean, even Jeb was there. You got a Jeb in there. I mean, it was
Cowboy Jeb.
We haven't even talked about that yet.
We haven't talked about Cowboy Jeb yet. While we're talking gear, however, I do want to point out Peter has a new sequencer. I don't really know what a sequencer does, but I know it makes weird sounds from a synthesizer. I'm assuming based on its placement on top of the clav that it's attached to the Moog Muse, or maybe it incorporates various keyboards. I'm going to do some research onto what exactly this does and report back. But I noticed the giant black box that was where his monitor control usually is. And I was like, what the hell is he going to do with that thing? Also, very exciting. I tweeted about this last night. I noticed on the organ effects, he has added, I think it's the Maris Enzo pedal, which is like a crazy ring mod loop thing. And it's wild. I've played with one a bit. It's insane. He had it on his board for one day in March 2022 for his guitar, and it has not been seen since. So I'm really, really looking forward to hearing him use this in a jam, because it will make an impact. Look up the pedal and see what it can do if you're curious. But anyway, that's the gear talk segment of this podcast.
One thing you can count on from Peter is that he will go away for 3 weeks and come back with 5 new sounds that you will hear. We talked about this before, and you'll be like, that is the coolest thing I've ever heard. And then he'll never do it again. So get ready for that. That's what's coming.
The
like some point over the next
once.
dozen or so shows. It's going to be like a centerpiece of an amazing jam or something like that. And then you're just never going to hear it again. just goes like right back on mothballs, and then whatever, fine. It keeps everything interesting. He's using his time off wisely. Let's put it that way. But so really quick before we move on from the Into the Mist here, because we've been talking about this for a while. You said Eugene Pancakes, and it's funny that you said that because that was kind of my notes. I think in terms of the music that they played, not the same, but the spirit of the jam or the approach, like exactly the same. And I don't know what it is exactly that makes me feel that way, but like they just feel similar. And
I think it's like a fast funk kind of thing.
Or I think it's just approach though. Like it's not even like the music that comes out. I think they just like
Right.
kind of sat in this thing and they're just like, we're gonna ride this out until we get one or two good things out of it. And that's absolutely what they did. And then yeah, again the drop. I mean, like the gets on my playlist for about like 1/10 of 1 second of excellent, amazing music. Like the way it all coalesces is just so good. It's obviously getting on there for more reasons than that. But like, I'll just keep like replaying that. I'm gonna do
Yeah,
that.
that one moment. It's like, yeah, go back 5 seconds. Yeah. Oh my god. Oh, it's so good. And then we get Arcadia, which is absolutely huge call here for mid-second set. But let's start with you, Murph. What did you think of this Arcadia?
I loved the Arcadia. I'm always a fan of a second set Arcadia. I feel like it really always has great energy. I felt this one was kind of standard. I mean, there were a couple cool things. Like Trevor had a really big bass groove going, something really, really funky, really cool. Loved that. Let's see, what else did I have? Rick had a massive peak, and then something that like I noticed about last night's in particular, it was almost like a second jam. It wasn't a second jam, but they held on to it and kept it going for a lot longer in that slow ending section,
Mm-hmm.
and I really enjoyed that about it. But other than that, I thought it was pretty standard.
That's the luxury of the mid-set Arcadia. We get these versions. The last few, especially, the last few have been, and we'll talk about it with another song in a minute. But we got these versions. The last couple of Arcadias have been, closing the second set or encore with Eye on the Clock. We need to be done in, 12 minutes. This one, it's what, 17, 18 minutes. They were just able to take their time with it, ride a little hose. It was great. Tom, your thoughts on this Arcadia?
Yeah, nothing new to add. Somewhat standard second set Arcadia, which is always welcome. It was super fun, and yeah, I like the placement. Love the drop into it. Love singing along to it. Yeah, I don't think I have anything else to add other than that was awesome.
Awesome, Neil.
Yeah, it's just good vibe in this one, right? I think somebody was saying last night, might have been you, that this is the best Arcadia they've done since the Cap, and I agree with that. I think that's right. They had just enough time to like play with like one idea that I thought was good. None of these are like when you think about what Arcadia has done over the years, that like
they're not 2021 caliber.
They're not 2021 Arcadias.
Yeah,
but they're good. And like I would love this in the set. I love this like right dead in the middle of a second set. Like more of that, please.
Yeah,
that's 100%. Cool. And I also like it like actually kind of in very much of like the big jam slot because it comes right before the cool down with Western Sun, which is pretty neat.
Well, I think this when you think about it, this almost 45 minutes of Mist Arcadia is amazing. This is the second Mist Arcadia pairing of the year, obviously after the Cap, and both have been very good.
Not as good as that one, but yeah.
Well, exactly. This is the second best Mist Arcadia of the year, but still really fucking good.
Well, I think when you play those two songs together, you're guaranteed a good time. I think there's no messing that one up.
100%. Anyway, moving on here, we finish out the second set with a Western Sun, pretty quick drip, and a Mr. Action encore. Tom.
Yeah, the Western Sun cool down was definitely a spot where I had a little bit of a moment. It was just perfect. That Arcadia had me buzzing a little bit. Had the endorphins flowing, wind blowing, perfect weather outside. Western Sun was just really perfect for that moment. And pretty fiery, and then the drop into the drip field was also super fun because we were debating what a second set closer might be after a set like that, and for some reason Dripfield skipped our minds, and it was just obvious that's what was coming. It was just like the perfect song to fit that kind of Arcadia Western Sun segment where we're going to play some of our best songs and play them very well. which I always wonder if that is something in a town like Nashville that they shoot for. Does the audience that's going to be there somehow play into the set list and how they approach the songs? Because they're building a business, building a brand, and knowing that audience is very it's a music city, and I'm sure that is something they're aware of, and crushing Dripfield in that moment. I'm sure if there was any new people in the crowd, is going to have them revisiting that song and maybe that album, right, which is part of a high watermark of their career, at least in my opinion. But yeah, that was a really fun, strong way to close the show.
100%. Murph?
I agree with everything said. I wish they would jam Western Sun, but didn't have time. It is what it is. Dripfield also kind of felt a little rushed to me, but again, time, I get it. Ascend has a pretty hard. I asked the venue, and they were like, it's a pretty strict 11 o'clock cutoff. So definitely did not expect them to play too much past 11 at all, if any. So I expected it. Mr. Action was not the encore that I wished for, but it's a good song, and I'll always take it.
Yeah, it's an interesting pick there. I wonder why they have become averse to the non-core. That used to be the default. Like I think back to 2021 and early 2022, and when the non-core was happening fairly regularly, and how much a show like Perry would have suffered if instead of playing a 20-minute Empress, they had cut the Empress at 12 minutes and then played another song so they could have an encore. And I think that it's funny because I remember back then criticizing the fact that they never did an encore, being like, what the hell? But I think when you're time managing it the way that they are, which very, very good last night, that's 2 80-minute sets. But I think, when you're getting into a position where the last, part of your second set is this, 11-minute Dripfield, maybe cut the Western Sun. You don't necessarily need it. Play a 19-minute Dripfield instead. Or jam out the Western Sun for 10 minutes and end the set with a big peak. That way you eliminate the need for something feeling like it's kind of shoehorned in, because that's the way it's been for a lot of shows, this fall. I think that's just the way I see it.
Yeah, this what's funny about the Western Sun and the Dripfield? We got used to jammed out versions of these songs over the last leg of the tour, and then you kind of get two super short ones here where it's just you see it on the set list, you're like, ooh, and then it doesn't really come to fruition like you would expect. Right. And then so this is the segment of the show where we talk about Ryan Storm's hubris being rewarded.
What but different. In Minneapolis or whenever it was, I said they're gonna encore with Everything Must Go, and they did. Here, I had no expectation of hitting any more songs.
Yeah. So for folks who don't know, we talk about Fantasy Goose a lot on the show because we play it a lot. Ryan and I are in a dead heat for one of the top 2 or 3 or 4.
We are not in a dead heat right now.
Dead heat.
We haven't been.
Heat. And then
we were for around 2 shows.
In classic Ryan Storm fashion, he has almost no points. And then gets this Mr. Action encore, which is total
7
bullshit.
points.
It's total bullshit for 7 points. It's the Fantasy Goose equivalent of a bad beat in poker. He gets this, this Mr. Action on the river for the win, and I hate Ryan's guts. So that's the thing that I needed to say.
You're just upset because you got an egg last night.
I did get 0 points. First time I've gotten
nothing
0
to do
since
with me.
Montana in 2021, which is a long time.
How did you get a 0? How did you get an egg in 2021? Those were so predictable.
Because they kept playing the same songs over and over and over again.
That was the tour, for anyone wondering. Yeah, July 2021, where there were 3 hot teas and 6 shows.
Yeah, it was just hot tea in Eau Claire, and then hot tea again in Montana, and then hot tea again at Sculpture Park. It's ridiculous. So that's how that happened. But in any case,
there too.
I wanted to say that, I know we're going long at this point, but I had to sneak that in there. That
yes,
I wanted everybody who's listening to know total bullshit. Yeah. Total bullshit.
This is also second time Mr. Action has been an encore. Last time being 324-23. That was a fun show. But yeah, I don't love it in this slot. I think it's first set song. I think it works well in the first set. Doesn't work as well as the last song of the show, in my opinion. Anything to add, Tom or Murph?
The benefit of the Mr. Action Encore is that I had no trouble finding an Uber because I just bailed.
Smart man. There are things like you can't do that at a Fish show because it's like, they don't, maybe they're just going to say fuck it to curfew and they're going to play more.
Buddy.
But like, like Goose, like, oh, it's an 11 o'clock curfew. They're starting Mr. Action at 11:53 or at 10:53. See you later.
Yeah.
Although you can do that at a Fish show, that because you've seen me do it. But and
it's not a smart thing to do.
Yeah, fair.
Anyway, Tom.
In the moment, I think I was frustrated that there wasn't more Type 2 in that kind of ending segment, Arcadia Western Sun Dripfield. And I think, being there though changes things a little bit. Like if I would have seen the set list and listened to it, I would have been frustrated. And I've got that frustration a fair amount this year. But they played those songs well, and I see a ton of people in the audience just losing their shit. And sometimes it isn't just about me. I think that was my take home as I kind of absorb and think about the night. Like they know what they're doing, right? Like they're an ascending band, and everyone there was very happy. And that is a lot more obvious when you're in the room.
There we go. Awesome. Very, very good observation. Well, that brings us to the close of our first day after show of the tour. Yes, Neil.
Just before we go, really quick. Again, I know we're running long, but just want to go back to where we started the show at, which this is kind of a sad and somber day, but like a special day where I hope the band takes a moment to remember Phil, because it's this is a really big day, and I think a lot of people are going to take this like pretty hard. This is not as when Jerry died. I think, well, those of us who were alive when that happened remember exactly where they were when they found out. And this one is just as big. It's a big deal, and I'm super sad about it. Hopefully they acknowledge that tonight from stage.
Yeah. I'm gonna go listen to Sea Stones now, and I'm being serious. Because that's the kind of nerd that I am. Very, very sad. But yes, Goose is back tonight. Winston-Salem for the first of 2 benefit shows for Hurricane Helene. They're playing at the Lawrence Joel Veterans Memorial Coliseum, Arena Goose. Though based on the Ticketmaster diagram, they're playing around like a third of the arena. It looked like the stage was pretty far forward, which makes sense. It's 14,000 people, and the show was only announced like a few weeks ago. So I'm curious to see what attendance is like. But we will be back tomorrow. Of course, we will be joined by a couple of returning guests here. We've got our friend of the pod, Nolan, of Gray Street Pod, as well as our good friend Isaac returning. He will be at both of the next 2 recaps. So we're looking forward to having him on Love a Nice Child podcasting prodigy. But looking forward to seeing what they have to say. Of course, remember, if you're on the couch tonight, the next 2 nights are pay-per-view live streams with all proceeds going towards Hurricane Helene relief. So you can buy those on Nugs. There's a 2-night bundle, which you should pick up because, you're going to want to watch both.
Use code StormSound at checkout.
Or don't, because it won't do anything. Well, thank you, Murph and Tom, for joining us today. It's been a pleasure having you both on. And Murph, safe travels. Are you going tonight or just tomorrow? You said
no. I'm not going tonight. I actually had to work today. Totally forgot. I'm on break at work right now. I'm in my car. But no, I'm
thank
going
you.
Tomorrow.
thank you for using your break to come on the pod. We appreciate it. Well, thank you both.
Always.
Thank you everybody for tuning in. Enjoy the rest of your Friday. Listen to some Grateful Dead. Listen to some
Unbroken Chain.
Yeah. Unbroken Chain. Box of Rain.
Yeah.
Anything from 1974 when he's getting really weird with it. There's a lot. Or I think they're on YouTube or on Archive. Rick with Phil and Friends from a couple of years ago. There's a lot. There's a lot.
Good stuff
obviously,
there. Check out that Cold Rain.
A lot in the Phil zone. Yes. Yeah. We were actually posting about that the other day. Anyway, we will see you guys tomorrow. Actually, I should mention tomorrow's podcast will be at 1 p.m. Eastern. Not the usual 3:30. We'll post about it in the morning, but tomorrow's podcast will be a little bit earlier than normal. So be on watch for that. So we'll see you guys at 1 o'clock tomorrow afternoon to recap tonight's show in Winston-Salem. Enjoy the rest of your Friday. We'll see you guys then.